pass to Leitner. Puts it up.
You're listening to the Culture State Podcast.
Get ready! Woo!
Welcome back to another great episode of the Culture State Podcast. This week, this one hits home for me. I mean, we got to take it back to the 336, take it back to UNCG, because we're talking to the most decorated American basketball player overseas ever. You would think that distinction would go to somebody who played in a Power Five. No. It goes to somebody who played at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Makes me proud.
Oh, once again, 336 love on the Culture State Podcast. Yeah, you know what? And it was pretty cool. The fact that you guys actually were in school at the same time together. That meant you're talking about Kyle Hines.
Yep, exactly. One of my homies. We've stayed in contact since we've been at school, and definitely proud of him. And I learned some new things even through this interview. We talk about him being in the NBA, which teams were going after him, and which team offered him a guaranteed contract, and he said, "No, I'm going to make my bread overseas," and he's been making it overseas since then. So I think you guys will enjoy this. If you're not familiar with the name, make sure you listen. It's a great story, and then also you'll see how we're kind of connected and how he kind of helped my radio career, which eventually turned into my television career as well. So you're going to enjoy this one right here, Kyle Hines, after this on the Culture State Podcast. We have to take you back all the way to 2004, right?
Right.
A young freshman at UNCG, Chris Lee, was just trying to find himself and was like, hey, I need to learn how to get on radio and everything. And then I'm at a basketball game and you see this guy who's 6'6", but blocking everything out of the gym. And you're like, that's who I need to interview. So then you talk to UNCG, you set it up, and you never knew that would be like your actual first interview of many interviews. But then this guy would go on to become literally the GOAT American player overseas. His name is Kyle Hines. We'll fill in the story for you guys as you're listening. But Kyle, thank you so much. My UNCG classmate, go Spartans.
Definitely.
He was on the court. I was in the stands. I was cheering. And so it was cool to be alongside him. Dennis, Kyle's a great guy, so I'm excited that you even get a chance to be a part of all this Spartan greatness right now.
There's always – well, Kyle, real quick, Chris is never afraid to bring on some 336 love, just to let you know that. Anything he could do.
Greensboro all day, man. Greensboro
anything
all
he
day,
could do.
man.
Did he tell you about the time recently where he actually screwed up the UNCG fight chant?
Oh man, you have it ready, don't you?
I just didn't know if Chris had told you.
You have it ready. You have it ready right now.
Yes, sir. And right after Culture State Saturdays, right here on 99.9 The Fan, you can listen to all the games, including at 12:45, UNCG, the Spartans taking on Florida State.
UNCG. I messed up my own chant.
No, you're done.
I messed up my own chant.
You're done.
Oh my gosh.
How do you mess up your own chant?
I don't know. I need to go back to the drawing board. What did I do?
Oh man,
I had a brain fart.
Go take a walk. We're about to take a break.
All right.
Oh man, we're taking away your manure card. We're taking away the Spartan card. We're taking it away, man.
No.
Taking it away, man.
I think I've earned it back since then, because that was in 2021. I've earned it back since then.
Yeah, we might have to talk to the chancellor. We might have to get your diploma back.
Wow,
that's funny.
That's good.
Dennis is a little bit of a heel, so he loves to be the bad guy. So he's definitely going to do that.
Tell me where I'm wrong, though, Chris. Tell me where I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Well, let's get into the interview right now. So for those who don't know, just to have a more formal introduction, Kyle Hines, originally from Sicklerville, New Jersey, currently playing overseas for Olympia Milano. Man, Kyle, how many times have you won a championship over there?
Oh man, honestly, I don't know.
Can't even count. That's how many.
I've been fortunate, man. I've been very fortunate, very blessed to be put in a lot of great situations to win a lot of titles. Over my now will be 15 years in Europe.
And he's not going to tell us the number. Okay.
Yeah,
4 times.
I don't for the EuroLeague one, which I think 2 of them are back here. So 2 of them are back here. But yeah, I won the EuroLeague one 4 times, the domestic league ones, and all the other ones. I honestly, I have no idea. Like I have no idea, honestly.
Again, the most decorated American player ever. So I wanted to talk to you about this though.
Yeah,
One of the things that coming out of college, I got a chance to see you go up against a lot of big time stars. I mean, you went against Steph Curry
yeah.
when he was at Davidson. What's my man's name? Something Martin was at Western Carolina.
Kevin Martin.
Kevin Martin.
Mm-hmm.
He was at Western Carolina at the time. A lot of big time, stars playing in the Southern Conference at that time. And
Yeah.
coming out of college, which I think I remember maybe the San Antonio Spurs, which NBA teams were giving you a look, and how close were you or weren't you to potentially making the NBA?
So I had 3 teams that were very interested. The San Antonio Spurs, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and at the time, shows our age, the Charlotte Bobcats. So those were the 3 teams. San Antonio, I thought San Antonio was going to draft me because they said I kind of fit their kind of like undersized. They were like the first of like the undersized big, big men mold. So I thought they were going to draft me. Cleveland invited me to training camp. I went there and I had like a great showing and they loved me. So they invited me to training camp. And then Charlotte, the Bobcats, because, we were, so close in proximity to Greensboro, a lot of the people that worked in the front office, were familiar with me. So they wanted to give me a legit shot too. So those were the 3 teams that were actually the most interested. I mean, I'm probably the one that, looking back on it now, I would have loved to have, been like play with the Bobcats. I mean, to go from Greensboro to Charlotte, I mean, I think that would have been a super cool experience. And then also Cleveland, I mean, that's when LeBron was there. So to say that I shared the same locker room with LeBron, that would have been an awesome experience.
Now, at what point did you realize, hey, you know what, this NBA thing isn't going to work, but you can pivot and go overseas? At what point did you realize that was the path that you should take?
When my agent called me and asked me to have a passport.
All right, that's fair. What was that call like?
I mean, honestly, I think, for me, I wasn't even thinking about going overseas. Like, I thought, I had tunnel vision. Like, I thought that I was just going to go to the NBA. I mean, as a kid growing up, that was the dream, to go to the NBA. And for me to, to be right there and potentially in my mind thought I was, really close to potentially making it. I didn't want to go overseas. I was like, I had my mindset that I was going to try to come here, grind it out, and try to figure out how to get my way in. And then I had the phone call with my agent. He was just jokingly, asked me to have my passport. And then he was talking, to some teams and also some NBA teams, and they pretty much suggested, it was like, listen, like, if he goes overseas, we feel like he'll have a better opportunity to develop his game, become more mature as a player. And then next summer he could come back around and kind of see where it's at. So I didn't expect, looking back on it now, that I would be overseas in Europe, playing, as long as I did. I initially thought it was just kind of almost be like a stopgap in between me, trying to, fulfill my NBA dream.
Yeah, but one of the interesting things that ended up happening too is that like you're a star over there, man. Like you've done your thing, and it's one of those cool things to kind of look back and see how you've been able to grow. And one of the things I've always said to people, if he was 6'9", he's in the NBA, no question. Do you feel like your height at 6'6", being a power forward, has made you kind of like an underdog, and how does it benefit you as you are playing your game?
I mean, for sure. I mean, ever since I was in high school, people look at me, and it was probably one of the reasons why. Fortunate for me, but probably one of the reasons I ended up at UNC-G and not at some high level program, because I had the stats, I had everything that would say will qualify or put you in place. You played against some of the top players in the country. I was in high school and I fared well against them to be at an ACC school or a Big East school or Big Ten school. But the only knock was always my height. They was like, oh well, can a six. I say 6'6", but I'm really like 6'3.5", 6'4", on a good day. But can a 6'4" guy? Yeah,
maybe I'm so short, because I was like, man, he's legit 6'6", but I don't know, I'm 5'9", so everything after 6'2" is just like whatever.
There's according to what shoes I wear, man. I always try to wear shoes that will let me give me a couple inches. But yeah, exactly. So, but the fact that like I'm short, I think a lot of players, taller players, probably don't think that I can do the things I can do. So it does give me kind of that underdog kind of mentality, and it kind of gives me that underdog, type of feeling. So like when I do it, I think a lot of people are surprised.
I will say this though, really quick, Dennis. Like he does have some long arms for his body, and maybe
Yeah.
that's probably why I thought you're taller. You're 6'6", but what is your wingspan, really quick?
My wingspan is 7'2.5", and I wear a size 16 shoe. I wore the same size shoe since I was in the 8th grade. So people thought I was going to be like 6'10", 6'11". So like everybody was like, and I had long arms, so they always make the joke. It's like, like you're going to be tall. You just got to wait till your body catches up to your feet and your arms and your hands. And I ended up stopping at 6'4". That's why I play center, because at the time back then, it was like the tallest guy. You get the jersey number 55, and you go on the block, and that's what it was. So yeah,
And that's why you blocking everything. He led the nation in blocks during his freshman year.
Yeah,
just keep that in perspective.
Okay. I wear a size 12.5, 13 shoe, and I'm 5'10", so I kind of get it. I
can't remember the last time I wore a size 12.5, 13 shoe, man.
Sixth grade. I know. I got big feet for a guy my height. So going overseas and adjusting to that style of play, what was the hardest thing about adjusting to European style basketball?
I mean, European style basketball is completely different. The mentality is completely different. Over here, I say it all the time. It's like versus, almost checkers versus chess. If you want to kind of put it, that is a good analogy. It's like, the NBA, it's all about speed, athleticism. Going this way. Overseas, it's more methodical. You got to read the game. You have guys that are not as athletic or a little more skilled. So the game is a different game. It's a slower paced game, and it's more of like, you got to think. It's more about strategy based. So I think that was the hardest part, for me. Going from where I was playing in college, where I was, the go-to player, where I can, shoot the ball or score the ball or, do whatever I want anytime I want it. Now going to Europe, where it was like a structured system where I really had to play within the team system. I think initially that was the part that I struggled the most, but I think it was also the part that helped me develop my game and helped me become a better basketball player, because I wasn't so much like I'm just going to put my head down and go to the basket. It actually, if I was going to play, then I actually had to be able to read the game, understand the game, and become a better player both on and off the court. So I think it actually helped me. I think that's the reason why I was able to have the success I've had so far in my career.
I want to ask you, going back on what you were saying before about, the NBA was always the goal. Were there any other times during your career, year 3, year 4, year 5, or whatever, year 10, that maybe there was an opportunity there to go? Did you decide against that? Were you just comfortable overseas? What's keeping you over there?
Yeah, so I had an opportunity, and after year, I think it was year before I left Olympiacos in Greece. So I think it was year 5. In between year 6. So it was either go with the Atlanta Hawks. They had offered me a guaranteed contract. It was like a 1+1 or 2 year. Offered me a guaranteed contract, or go play for this team in Russia called CSKA Moscow, which is like the top echelon. If I was to explain it in our terms at home, it's like playing for the Lakers or playing for that type of team. It's like type echelon team. So it was like either go to the NBA or go play for this team in Moscow, Russia, who's like one of the perennial favorites every year. So basically, what it came down to was like I had just had a lot of success in Europe. I felt really comfortable in Europe, and I was like I couldn't turn down this opportunity to go play for this team. It's silly to say now. It's probably silly to say now. Like I would rather go to Moscow, Russia, and play in Moscow, Russia, than go play in for the Atlanta Hawks. But like I said, I mean, it ended up being like a great decision, because I mean, one thing about the NBA is great, but for me, more likely I probably would end up being one of the I would say probably one of the 10th or below players, or something like that on a depth chart. So the NBA is all about opportunity. So you have to go into the place where you got to have the best opportunity. There's a lot of great players that play that are on rosters that don't get a chance to play. Versus I was like, if I go to CSKA, they're fight for European titles. I know my role. I understand what I'm going to be at. I understand the situation, and I had already had success. So I was like, I'm going to make the decision. So sometimes still today, I always think about what could have happened. But I mean, I'm honestly thankful that it didn't happen because, for me to have this opportunity to live in Moscow, Russia, and to be as successful as I have, never would have happened if I probably would have went to the league.
Yeah. Speaking of some of these cities overseas, what are some of the more fun places you've been able to either play or visit?
My favorite city that I've played in, I mean, it's kind of weird to say now, but honestly, it was Moscow, Russia.
Okay.
Now, I mean, obviously now everything in the news and everything, but I think also it was because of I already had this like already had this preconceived like notion about Russia. Russia is a natural adversary from the U.S. With going back to Rocky and Bullwinkle to Rocky movies to all these different type stuff. So I automatically thought like Russia was like with grizzly bears running around the streets and Kodiak bears and a bunch of people in strange accents. So that's what I thought Russia was like. But then you get to Moscow and it's like the city is like incredible. It's beautiful. I mean, like literally, like you go into like the subway, the metro stations. Every subway has its own theme, and it's like a museum. You go to one station, they have like old school tapestry, hanging from the ceiling. You go other words, they have like marble headstones of like great philosophers. So going there to go see the Red Square and all different type of stuff. So for me, surprisingly, I think that was probably my favorite city that I played in. My favorite city that I've traveled to, I would say there's two unique ones. Well, one unique one, Astana, Kazakhstan.
Okay.
It's a city like in the middle of nowhere, but it's like a huge like technological city. Like they got like the top tech like in the world there. Like they got buildings and like you see like the graphics, like people like moving on the billboards and all that stuff. Like the city is like full of them. So I mean, so that city was like really dope. And then also Barcelona. Barcelona is like one of my favorite cities to actually go and travel to. I mean, it's an amazing city, it's amazing culture. So to me, I mean, those are probably the three that stick out the most. But I've been fortunate, man. I've been fortunate enough to travel and be almost just about everywhere.
I wanted to know about this too because, and this is going to make us seem old, and I'm not trying to, but like when you came out of school and when we came out of school, small ball wasn't really the thing in the NBA.
No.
And it's become a thing now. And somebody I think about with you, I've never really seen you kind of like really initiate offense a lot, but I know you have the ability to take the ball up the court for sure. And I think about what you would have been like as like an early version of Draymond Green for some team in the NBA. Like, that matchup problem. You can work down low, but then you can also like bring the ball up and distribute if you need to. But then like of course you just said you have a 7'2" wingspan, so you can block almost anything, right?
Yeah.
And it probably will catch people off guard. Have you thought about that? Like, if opportunities were different, if the style of play was different in the NBA, maybe back then, maybe you could have been like a Draymond Green there for a particular team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if the league, I mean, at the time then the league was like such a cookie cutter league. So the league was all about like if you're 6'8", 6'9", you're a power forward. If you're 6 whatever, you're this. If you're 6'3", you're a point guard. Like so, the league is a lot different now. Everything is positionless. Like you see the Golden State Warriors. They literally have 5 guys out there. And you really can't tell what position is who. So I think now with the new brand, the new style of basketball. I probably would have had more opportunities, more, instead of maybe 3 teams that were seriously looking at me, it probably would have been, 24, 25, maybe something like that. Just because the NBA, just like all professional sports, are copycats. So if the Golden State Warriors are doing well, then somebody's going to go out there. We're trying to run, find the next player that's going to be run the Golden State Warriors offense, stuff like that. So for me, like you said, I think I kind of fit that almost like Draymond Green type of type of style. So maybe, that would have been an opportunity. But I mean, at the same time, I have no regrets, man. I honestly have no regrets. Like, I got an opportunity to do things and go places and see things that, that I never would imagine. Like, I'm from a small town in South Jersey. Like, I went to UNC-G. Like, I never would have thought that, like, basketball would take me to these opportunities to, be able to see the world. So, I mean, so I think about it sometimes, but, automatically I always think about, like, man, like you don't even think that way. Just be happy for what what you have in front of you and what you have done so far.
Absolutely.
Going overseas, what was the hardest adjustment for you personally in your personal life, not just on the court, but just outside of it?
Leaving my friends, my family, and just going to a whole new culture. Like I went to a town, literally, it's a mountain village in Italy. 5,000 people that
Sounds
live there.
amazing.
It just yeah.
Wow. Sounds amazing.
More people at
5,000
UNCG than this town.
Exactly. The town was like the size of like our student center or something like that. Like it wasn't huge at all. There was literally one gas station, one person spoke English. Literally I can take I had the long wingspan. I could take my hands from each side and touch the walls from each or touch the sides of the streets.
Wow.
Literally there was like two people in the town that spoke English. People would literally there's wild goats and chickens and horses running around. People would literally come take their laundry to the middle, of the watering hole in town, and they're watching their, like you see in the movies. Like literally I went back in the time. Like literally I went back in the time. Like it was like I was going like in like almost like some old, like I think is it Godfather 2 or something like that. Or Godfather 1, like going back like where Michael went, like that's the type of place I lived at where I first played at. So that was the initial like culture shock. Like I never done anything and never been there. I've been in South Jersey, Philadelphia, Greensboro, North Carolina, and for me to go there and it was like, wow, I was like, yo, what did I just do? Like, where did I just put myself? Like I was immediately for like the first 5 days, I didn't leave my apartment because I was scared to because I didn't know. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm this 21-year-old kid, and like, where do I go? What did I do? So, but in the same token, I mean, I think that town was the reason why, I was able to grow appreciation and love about being in Europe because everything there was like super authentic. Like it was like super genuine. Like, if I would have went to like a bigger city, maybe I wouldn't have had the same like affliction or affection for being in Europe. Because I went to the town and you would go to the restaurant and you would ask like, what's on the menu, and the guy will go in the back and he's like taking the fresh fish from from where he just caught. He's pulling basil from the trees. He's pulling fresh tomatoes and all that different stuff. So I really got to have like a full experience of like, what Europe is and what it is to really play overseas. So like the first I didn't really appreciate it, but I think over time I really grew to really appreciate and really enjoy living there.
All right, I got to ask you this as a UNCG alum, and I apologize for the people who didn't go to UNCG who don't know the names I'm about to say right now.
Okay.
But
Me.
2007 UNCG Spartans. 2007 UNCG Spartans. You got yourself, Ricky Hickman. You've got Kevin Alexiak, Dwayne Johnson, and then versus the 2019 UNCG Spartans, where you got Isaiah Miller, Francis Alonso, and so many others. I don't even think the Langley twins had gotten there yet. I don't think they had gotten there yet. Who wins in that case? In 2019, UNCG Spartans went to the NCAA tournament too, so I just want to throw that out there.
Well, funny enough, Dwayne Johnson, he lives in my neighborhood. He lives 3 doors.
Oh wow!
3 doors down the street from me. Yeah.
So I'm about to say hello, man. He's going on social media. I don't even know where he's at.
Yeah, man. He's like literally. Funny story is, him and his wife, would come down, and they would come down and come visit us. They were like, oh, we like the neighborhood. So literally, that next summer, I went overseas. The next summer, I came back, and I just see him pulling up. I'm like, yo, what are you doing here? He was like, oh, we bought the house 3 doors down the street. And they didn't tell us. They didn't tell us until we pulled up. So I mean, I get a chance to see him every day. Me and him were just playing like one-on-one in the backyard like 2-3 days ago. So we had this we still have like this little rivalry going on. But and KO, I talk to KO all the time. I just seen him a couple weeks ago too. So and Ricky, I talk to Ricky literally every other day. So of course, just to answer that question, I'm gonna go with my guys. Of course, we're gonna win. Like, yeah, we definitely would have won. Like, it wouldn't even been no question, man. We definitely would have won, man. We definitely won at those guys, man. Our team was good. I mean, they had a really great team. Isaiah and all those guys. I mean, they were really great. But nah, man, I'm putting it on us. We would have won for sure.
You guys are definitely the best UNCG team that didn't get a chance to win a SoCon championship.
Yeah, because of Steph Curry, man.
Yeah, let's talk about that guy.
You heard of him? Yeah, man, right?
we'll go ahead and start ending this, but I appreciate your time. It's as a Spartan, but then also as somebody who we had our communication studies actual graduation. It was Hines, then it was Lee, so I got a chance to be right there next to you. It's cool to see where you've gone too, man, and see how you've literally become the best overseas player.
Thank you.
From the United States of America ever. That is dope to me to see that. But as we leave out, I'm gonna leave you with this question: who is the UNCG GOAT, you or Isaiah Miller? There's an argument for both, though. There's an argument for both.
Don't get me wrong. Isaiah is an amazing player, man. What he's done and the things that I think he done has accomplished has put UNCG in a place that that is going to be bright for forever come. I mean, all the things he does. I mean, he continues every time he plays. He does a highlight, and he makes me proud to say that I went to UNCG when they're showing his highlights and stuff on SportsCenter. So, I'm going to say both of us, man. I'm like I said, man. I think I helped kind of lay the groundwork. But I'm going to say both of them, man. I think for me, and I think also you, there was a time where UNCG basketball wasn't necessarily of the proudest place to say that, that you were associated or affiliated with. So I think now the program has gotten to a point where it's like, we can contend. Like we've been in the NCAA tournament, we've been different places. So I think, to be, a part of the UNCG basketball program, I think is something we all proud to say. So, I'm happy to be a Spartan. I know you are. And like to see, Isaiah, to see Francis, to see what the team has built in Langley Twins, to see, what the new coach, what the new coach has, put in place and the program that's there. I'm really proud. So, man, like I said, to answer your question, I'm gonna say both, and then I'm gonna say hopefully the next UNCG goal is on the way. That's gonna surpass both of us very soon.
Yeah, I love to see it. First off, Dennis, I know you're gonna bring it up. UNCG, UNCG, fight, because he's gonna bring up the one where I messed up before. But All right, we want to thank my guy Kyle Hines for joining us. Dennis, what were your impressions of him?
The fact that he's only actually really 6'4"-ish, but the 7'2" wingspan, it's like, dude should be playing volleyball with that kind of wingspan. I was impressed by the fact that he turned down the NBA to sit there and go, you know what? That might be a good short-term thing, but long-term, over here is really things are going to work for me, and they paid off. He made more money
going back overseas.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but just the fact that he's got to experience so much in terms of cultures, languages, people, food, all that kind of stuff by going overseas and having that success over there. And he's still been able to provide for his family and set himself up for his future and his life financially. But I'm not going to lie, Chris. When I sit there and see some people got to do all this traveling, go all these different places for their job, I'm like, wait. I clearly got into the wrong profession, clearly.
The cool thing about our job, we get a chance to talk to the different people, but it requires us to be in one place a lot, which is cool because if we're going to be in one place, North Carolina is a good place to be at.
It's the best place to be.
So always got to circle back around to the state for sure. Exactly. If you guys are listening to us on Apple, please give us 5 stars. We really appreciate it. If you're watching on WRL Sports Plus, thank you. Because we want those streams and those ratings to go up. And then also make sure you follow us on social media at Chris Lee TV, at The Fan Rookie, also at Culture State Pod.
And if you missed this or you want to watch this, go to YouTube, 99.9 The Fan's YouTube page. Subscribe to that. There's a playlist of all Culture State. It's a full playlist. Just us. And that's all you need, really. That's all you need. Also, speaking of WRL Sports Plus and 99.9 The Fan, you haven't heard, we're back live Saturdays 10 to noon on The Fan. This Saturday, September 3rd, we're live at East Carolina for NC State ECU out in Greenville at Dowdy Ficklin, lower concourse. Chris and I, we're going to be there.
It's going to be amazing. There's going to be a lot of red, a lot of purple, and a lot of tailgating in the area. I can't wait, and we're going to try to show you all the sights and sounds. Or, hey, if you can be there, join us. Come say hey at the tent because we would absolutely love to have you there ECU versus NC State, Greenville, North Carolina, September 3rd, and Culture State will be there live, 10 to noon.
The Culture State Podcast, part of the Capital Broadcasting Podcast Network, with new shows coming out every Wednesday. Download and subscribe from wherever you get your podcasts, including the WREL Sports Fan app.